All right, so we're live. Welcome to week episode 3 of New York Football Talks. We're going to get into I'm deeming it separation week in the PSAL. I'm going to explain what that means in just a second. But of course, this is Andre Johnson from Sage Media. And of course, I'm not alone. We have Jared Valluzzi, Uzzi Sports, and the infamous Coach Mac from Move the Chains. Coach Mac, listen, man, you gotta, you know, you causing me problems, man. These streets, man. That's all I'm gonna
Man,
say. But
man,
keep being you. I'm gonna take the
man.
arrows. I'm gonna take the arrows.
Woo! I caught a couple strays this week. I caught a
Listen,
couple
man,
strays
it's
this
all
week.
good. Oh, let me add Jared back. There you go, Jared. What's up, man?
Yeah, I mean, lost a little connection there, but yeah, glad to be back for another week. And yeah, what a crazy week it was. I love that we called it separation week because we really saw who some of these teams really are, and a good way for some teams.
Yeah, and so yeah, separation week. Why is it separation week? I feel like there were a lot of big matchups between contenders this week. Well, everyone is still a contender, of course, right? It's only week 2, so let's get to it right now. It's only week 2, right? There's some O2ers, there's some 1 and O's that were feeling good, and now they're 1 and 1. There were some 0 and 1s who are now 1 and 1. So depending on how you got to 1 and 1, 1 and 1 is looking good for you right now. But again, it is separation week because I do think there's a lot that we've seen, and I think a lot of teams have, separated themselves from the pack. I feel like, we'll talk about it, but I feel like there's a clear tiers of teams at this moment in the PSAL, 4A, even the 3A too. The 3A is lit. Let me tell you, 3A playoffs is going to be lit. I cannot wait for 3A playoffs. But first, it's Roundtable. Mac, how's it going, man? I don't know if is Mac frozen. Jared, how's it going,
Yeah,
man?
yeah. I was gonna say he might be frozen, but man, it's going good, man. I mean, 4A and 3A. I mean, a lot of fun all across the PSAL. And I mean, I don't even know where to start here, Andre. I mean, there's a couple amazing games. I know we're gonna get into Curtis Wagner in a little bit, but
Yep.
uh, Erasmus Hall Canarsie. I know a lot of people thought it was could be closer. Like Canarsie just played with Lincoln, but the Kings are
Listen,
here.
we're
Erasmus Hall
we're
still on top of the PSAL, and
we're
they
about
should
to
win.
we're about to get into all of it. My guy Money, appreciate you. He was in the chat the whole game with me. Curtis versus Wagner, appreciate you, and of course my guy TY Visuals. You already
UIJ.
know. You already know. I see this guy, man. I see this guy a lot every weekend. So, we on the grind for sure.
Yeah.
So the first place to start, of course, just like every week, we start with the game of the week, Curtis versus Wagner. And let me tell you something. I see Max shaking his head already. Let me tell you something in this game. The Falcons came out, they were ready to play. They had bulletin board material and they were ready to play. First drive of the game, they complete a long pass. They're in Curtis territory. I think they're within the 30-yard line. And the story of the game for Susan Wagner was just the inability to run the ball. You know, Curtis absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage. The Curtis linebackers have absolutely stepped it up a level. I was at the game where they played more Catholic. And I honestly thought they played pretty well. Of course, Richard Pacheco, one of the best athletes in all of New York City. Um, and I thought they defended him pretty well. But their linebackers have definitely stepped it up. I mean, in the past 2 games, I think the difference for Curtis has been 110 to 12, something like that. So Curtis is just their defense is super solid right now. Fantastic linebackers. But the show was really all about Mr. Caratelli to me. He really displayed, his accuracy, his composure. That offensive line. We talk about the Curtis offensive line. They're just as big as E Hall. They're just as big as Lincoln. He didn't have pressure in his face. but Caratelli was really, it was just a display. 3 touchdowns, and if we talk about that layering, he had a deep ball to the Dukes that was right on the money. He had a perfect slant route, hit Akai right in the hands, and he had another bubble route that he threw perfectly. So, Jared, we gotta go to Mac. Gotta go to Mac. What do you think? You were correct, but the Falcons in those first 2 possessions, it was only 7-0, and they really had momentum. They just couldn't. The battle of the line of scrimmage was tough for them.
I can't say that I didn't say so, but I said that was going to happen. Now, in Wagner's defense, I still think they make the playoffs.
Okay.
It's going to sound, this may sound.
So they impress you a lot then.
Oh.
No, I wouldn't say impressed. So 8 teams make the playoffs. I think Wagner wins 1, 2, 3. If you guys play spades, 3 in a possible. I think Wagner maybe wins 3 or 4 games. So I think 4 games may get them in the play. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but I think Wagner still makes the playoffs. It sounds crazy. But I think they may sneak in.
Jared?
Yeah, I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think that maybe they win 3. I don't know the PowerPoint system totally yet. If it's 3 and they're in, I'm not sure. I have to do a little bit more research there. But I'm just looking at their schedule. I don't think they're not beating Lincoln. They could definitely beat New Dorp. Eagle, Andre, you've probably seen both teams play. I know you know a lot about Eagle. I think that'll be interesting, but Eagle's still pretty good.
All right, hold on.
And Mac, how about this?
Derek, I got to stop you right there. I thought
Mac,
Coach Jones is my guy.
Hold on, we're gonna get to Eagle.
Whoa.
We're gonna get to the Eagle.
Derek's jumping the gun.
I'm doing it again. Port Richmond's gonna give Wagner a game, and it's gonna be interesting.
It will be. It's
gonna be super interesting.
It will be. Canarsie got first 3. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh,
honestly.
yeah.
Who had a tougher schedule? I think Wagner and New Dorp might have had the toughest schedule out the gate. Curtis, Tottenville, 2 weeks in a row is kind of crazy for those teams.
Oh, I think Port Richmond.
Yeah,
Canarsie scheduling
is
Canarsie
is tough. Yeah, Canarsie is pretty tough too. Can't lie. So definitely shout out to Mr. Caratelli. I know that's someone that Mac knows from his program. Only a sophomore, and I really think Curtis has something good for the next couple of years. He's a little undersized, but his composure and just if you my apologies for the post-game interview. Usually we have better audio quality, but 2 Burrows. Actually, no, let me go to that real quick. Shout out to the Sage team. 2 Burrows. Yeah, 2 Burrows in one night. It was a huge operational success. Yeah. I know there was some, technical difficulties in the Eagle game towards the end. So that's apologies to that, but it was a really tremendous effort from all of us. So shout out to the whole team. I didn't have I forgot the one thing I forgot was a memory card, so I couldn't get the audio perfect for that post-game interview. But just talking to Caratelli and just seeing his composure and on and off the field, he's a real leader for them. So even though he's a little undersized, I think that Curtis really have one.
Yeah, man.
And then that's not to mention the weapons. Sorry, go ahead, man.
He surprised me, man. He's doing amazing, and to be a sophomore and doing what he's doing, the future is bright at the Castle.
Yeah, absolutely. And then wide receiver cores. That's probably a conversation we'll have one of these days. They got some dangerous between Royal, Dukes, Akai Lewis. And sorry, I'm pretty sure it's Akai Lewis. Between Akai's only a sophomore, caught 2 touchdowns. They have quite the receiving core, and of course you have Quadair. at running back. So, just like, you guys have been talking about in the chat, definitely one of the games to watch this week is definitely Curtis versus Canarsie. That game's at the Castle. And, I spoke to them. I was like, hey, Curtis, listen, you guys got to go through Brooklyn. You have Canarsie. Next week 4, the game of the week is going to be Curtis versus E Hall. So we're going to find out a lot about this Curtis team. But yeah, Susan Wagner, just like all of the teams that lost this week in separation week, pick yourself up, dust off, because this next week, I do think 0-3 is too big of a hole. 1-2, you can make something of it. So definitely for all those teams that lost this weekend you got to dust yourself off. So, usually I like to stick a little longer to the game of the week, but I know we have quite a few topics to go through, including this one saying Sage's team getting disrespected is crazy. I'm sure you're talking about Eagle Academy. So we don't duck any smoke over here. You guys, of course, know my affiliations with Eagle. Been with Eagle since 2016. Sage Media is, a company for New York City. But of course, Sage Media, Eagle Academy has held us down.
Definitely.
That doesn't, give them any passes when it comes to commentary. But I will. So I guess I have to go first, right? Because I'm the Eagle guy, right? The way I described this Eagle game to everyone was more talking about JFK. JFK is the standard. JFK is the standard of the PSAL top tier. They have been there for has to been years and years. They've been in the top flight of the PSAL. And the way I describe it is like they're like the bouncers. Like if you want to be a top tier team in the PSAL 4A, you have to get through them because you know what JFK is going to give you. They're going to give you hard-nosed running, execution, and if you can't pass that barrier, then you can't call yourself a top-tier team. So that's a game Eagle has lost 3 games in a row. They are struggling to get over that hump. Last year was closer than this year. And to be honest with you, when I saw that game, again, that word execution, Eagle, if they want to be in the playoffs, if they want to, be considered a top team in this league, you have to execute. Execution is the bare minimum in this league. If you don't execute, you see what happens because the other team is going to execution is, like I said, it's the bare minimum, hitting your blocks, good tackling, all of that kind of stuff, not turning the ball over. If someone hits you hard and they force a turnover, that's one thing. But if you're fumbling the snap and all that, you're going to get punished in this league. And I'm pretty sure they fumbled the first snap they got. And, Derek Betances, one of the best players in the whole PSAL, scored immediately. And Derek Betances, 2 touchdowns, rushed for over 100 yards. I mean, this guy was pretty much doing whatever he wanted. They had that counter play that everyone in the league knows. Eagle knew it too, could not stop it. And I want to give a big shout out to Emmanuel Hernandez Frias. Hopefully I said that right. He's the number 3 for JFK. He had a long screen pass for a touchdown in the APR game. He also had a touchdown. And someone correct me, he might have had a touchdown in the game against Mount Vernon as well. I'm not sure. But huge shout out to him because he caught a screen pass and took it 50 yards. So let's take it over to Mac. What did you see from that game?
Listen, I was shocked, man. I think
you were shocked?
Yeah, I was shocked. I had high expectations for Eagle. I watched the game on the stream, and just muffled snaps happened like 6 or 7 times. Just like not being able to get the snap, going 3 and out. Against a good JFK team, but man, I want to take a look at Eagles' schedule. They have Madison next.
Yes, they are the game of the week. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. Madison Eagle.
So this is a must win. That's a must win. For Eagle, man. That's you have to win. If you're Eagle right now, you have to win this game.
Jared?
Yeah, it definitely puts Eagle in an interesting situation. You want to go to the playoffs, and yeah, Mac's right. Must-win game, but when you talk about JFK, dude, I mean, planning for that offense is tough because when I was watching, because I, went back to the Sage Media stream and I looked at some of the film, especially some of the big Kennedy plays. It's tough, man. And Derek Betances, he really put himself in the conversation with a lot of the top running backs in this league. The line looked good. And yeah, JFK there once again, and I really can't wait to see what the rest of their schedule, how that unfolds. I think they have Curtis coming up soon, so that's going to be really interesting. And I know they also play South Shore later in the season as well. So I believe
That's
that's
the
going
game
to
of the
be
week.
that's on Sage. So I mean, I know that's a while away, but that's got me super pumped for that. But for Eagle, not the way they wanted. Andre, you hit on it. They have to be, sharper, a little bit more smooth because next week, man, they really got to take down Madison if, they want a chance to go to the playoffs.
And yes, Dre, big supporter of the show. I really appreciate you. I always see you in the chat, Dre. But yes, that is one thing I was going to mention. Jeremiah Sanat, freshman sensation, was not in the game.
Really?
And I'm not sure if they even threw a pass. And, this is what I'm saying to Eagle Academy. Pretty much JFK beat you with level 1. They didn't have to, or I should say gear 1. They didn't have to go to gear 2. I'm pretty confident they did not throw a pass. Excuse me, I guess they did throw the screen pass, but I don't think they threw anything down the field. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they did.
I didn't know that that kid didn't play. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jeremiah Sanat, just a personal reason he couldn't play. He'll be back. He's not injured or anything like that. He'll be back next week.
Okay. Wow.
Wow. So yeah, Eagle, like that is the standard. And JFK is a team we're talking about, hey, we talk about, we know who the 4 horsemen are, right? JFK is a program and a team who's trying to knock on the door to get into that conversation. That's where they are in their progression. Eagle is their second year in the 4A, but I will say the standards do need to be higher for Eagle Academy. Just like Mac was saying, the execution has to be higher. You can't fumble the snaps. Watching the plays. I'm watching. Fullbacks not blocking anyone and stuff like that. It was very evident that the execution level, even though against a good JFK team, and JFK fumbled the ball too. Like JFK gave them a chance. They fumbled the ball with it was at 14-0.
Yeah,
So yeah, that just like you guys were saying, that was the huge game. We talk about how many playoff spots are available. We're going to talk about a team from the floss. There are 2 teams from the floss we need to talk about. One team had a rough week. Another team did not have a rough week, right? So how many playoff games are available? Playoff spots, excuse me. So you will have to see. So yes, we're going to talk about, the game of the week, Eagle versus Madison, the history in that game. We'll talk about that more. But yeah, it's Eagle. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be in the playoffs? If you want to be in the playoffs, there's 15 other teams. And I said 15 other teams who are really vying to be in the playoffs. So I think, that's enough for the Eagle game. That was a huge game, especially in the playoff race. JFK, we're all keeping an eye on JFK to see how much they do. They have a tough matchup going on the road against McKee Staten Island. We're going to talk about McKee Staten Island later as well. We haven't given them much love, but definitely want to talk about McKee Staten Island later. But we have to go to the other team in the floss, Canarsie versus E Hall.
Right.
Who wants this one?
Me, please. please. That game kind of showed the tiers in the 4A. Yeah. So there's about 4 teams in tier 2. There's only 2 teams in tier 1 of the 4A football. So there's Erasmus and Tottenville by themselves. And that game showed us that in tier 2, we have Canarsie, South Shore, Lincoln. Who am I forgetting? Canarsie, South Shore, Lincoln. Do I want to put JFK in there?
I was just about to say, I mean, we're talking a little
Maybe.
bit in the chat. I mean,
No, I'm sorry. Curtis.
we
Curtis.
kind of, yeah, no, and I know you're forgetting Curtis.
Yes.
I think that's a huge conversation. We all said, like, we wish that game would happen, Canarsie versus JFK. JFK is looking good, man. Like,
no, so I do think JFK
serious boys.
is the number one team in Tier 3. I don't think JFK can beat any of the Tier 2 schools. That's just my opinion. I don't think JFK is going to beat any of the Tier 2 schools. They're number one in Tier 3.
I'm getting a call in my ear. I think it's Coach Legree from South Shore. He has to. He might have something to say to you, Mac. He's probably typing right now. Talk.
Nah, man. So I think those teams. There's 4 teams, maybe 5 teams. South Shore, Canarsie, Lincoln, Curtis, 4. And then we got Tier 3 schools. I think JFK is at the top of the Tier 3 schools.
Eric? Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Matt. Keep going.
Yeah, so I mean that E-Hall game, and then people, it's crazy in the move to change DMs. People are just talking so nasty about Canarsie and saying that, you know, they're trash and they're not who we thought they were. And I'm like, they played Lincoln in a really great game. And then their second week was against Erasmus. And I mean, what? Erasmus is on a 5P trying to go for 6. So give them a little grace. Give them another week. Who do they have this week?
Curtis, big week. Big week for them.
We have to see how that pans out. I feel like they're both in a Tier 2 category. I would love to see how that game pans out. I think, in my opinion, Canarsie competes.
Jared?
Yeah. No, I like that. It was interesting because, I mean, Mac did a good job of saying, like, this is Tier 1 PSAL football when you look at Erasmus Hall. TYJ, our guy, he was there. I was, watching what he posted, and Erasmus Hall is on a different level. But listen, this is kind of the first year of Canarsie, trying to resurge to go back to where they once were. But it's going to take some time. They were very impressive against Lincoln. Everyone got excited, including myself. Hey, can they compete with Erasmus Hall? But listen, it's still E-Hall. They're number 1, and they showed why, and they were impressive in a whole, a lot of different areas in this one. So E-Hall still number 1, but I think the real test for Canarsie is this upcoming week with Curtis. It's another big one because I know we split up the tiers, but I really like Curtis. Like, I think Curtis is the top team in Tier 2 right now, and they're trying to get to Tier 1. I don't think they're there yet, but I think that's the top team in Tier 2. Canarsie is, obviously towards the bottom in Tier 2, so that'll be fun.
One thing I wanted to say, and I want to talk about especially what Max said about people talking mess in the group chat and just like banter in general and analysis. Like, all right, let me get to the point. Stop analyzing these games lazily. Please stop analyzing them and please watch the games. That's something I'm going to get to when I talk about South Shore. Please watch the games. Highlights aren't enough. And when you watch games, you have to watch them critically, right? So, if I'm not mistaken, E-Hall scored in the first play of the game. I know I saw Amir in the chat earlier. I don't know if Amir, if you're still in there.
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like from the highlights that that you guys scored in the first play of the game off of a screen pass. Sorry, funny chat. Pretty sure they scored the first time in the game off of a screen pass. So, you go to Sid Luckman Field, like that's gonna happen. That can't happen to you. Like, these kids are, these guys are humans, right? Like, it's a big spot for them, and these E-Hall guys, extreme athletes, The difference between playing E Hall and another team is if you miss a tackle, it could be a touchdown. You miss a tackle against a tier 2 team, it could be a 15-yard gain.
Mm-hmm.
You miss a tackle against E Hall, it could be a touchdown, right? Okay, so first play of the game, they score a touchdown, right? I forget how they scored the second one, right? Third drive of the game. Thank you guys. I'm seeing the E Hall guys confirming. Third drive of the game, right? Remember, Canarsie also have a young quarterback. You know, they start. Excuse me. What's 22's?
Naeem Cooper.
Naeem
Cooper. There you go. Sorry, I got a brain fart. Third drive of the game, they settle in. They're giving the ball to Naeem. 5, 7, 8, 5, 8, 6. You know, they get all the way down the field. They're on the 5-yard line or something like that. How did you watch the game? I just watched. Shout out to TYJ Visuals. Make sure you follow TYJ Visuals. He's be at the game. He posts highlights from the game. So that's how we watch the game. You know, they're on the 5-yard line and they can't punch it in 4 tries. Yeah. So it's 14-0. You can't punch it in from the 2-yard line. So we can call that inexperience. You can call that they're building the program, right? And then, Mac, what happened in the next play? Does anyone know what happened in the next play, Jared?
Yeah, I do. I was watching it today. 98 yards, Justice Murray.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Yep.
So
and after that, I was like, wow, like the train is rolling. I mean, also E-Hall has 2 excellent quarterbacks, which is a whole
Absolutely.
Yeah. Justice Murray's legit.
Yeah, so my point is in the span of 5 plays, it's a 14-point swing. Like, good night. You're down 21-0 against E-Hall. You know, where easily it could have been 14-7.
Yeah.
So when you guys are, you know, when people are analyzing games, you please don't analyze it lazily. Like, you please watch the games, because saying Canarsie is trash is just bad analysis, like, to be completely honest. Anything else on this game? Oh, definitely shout out to Amir Moreau. I think he was over 100 yards again. Had a freaking another highlight touchdown that he could put all over his highlight reel. I think he made 3 people miss, something crazy like that. I mean, Amir is just a beast. So shout out to you. Anything else in this game, guys?
Who does Erasmus play this week?
Give me a second. Erasmus has, I want to say Wagner. No, they have New Dorp. They go to New Dorp.
Oh, God.
So they go to New Dorp, and then week 4 is going to be Sage Standout Game of the Week. They play Curtis.
Some of these games, man. Oh, God. Kendall Brown, this is fun.
And TY, I definitely agree with you. I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people thought that you know, they would really compete with E-Hall because of Canarsie's defensive line. But you know what? E-Hall's packing, of course. And also just people, like, again, weird commentary. People are like, oh, I don't think Lincoln is as good. Like, literally get to the Lincoln game. Like Lincoln and Canarsie are good teams. Canarsie lost to E-Hall. Wow.
Yeah.
You act like there haven't been 500 student athletes who have lost to E-Hall over the past 6 years. Like, seriously, how many athletes have lost to E-Hall over the past 6 years? Probably 500. Probably more than that. Like, what are we talking about? Anyway.
No, I was literally gonna say, and it's crazy because, like, going into this one, I mean, I know we got to move on to the next game, but Erasmus defense, like, as advertised, you know, really good as always. I think kind of going into it, not a knock on, like, the quarterback play for E-Hall, but it's like, all right, like, can they be consistent? Can they, you know, like, get the job done against, like, a Canarsie pass rush and great front? And trust me, Canarsie's got a great front. You know, they did an amazing job. So shout out those 2.
No, absolutely. And just real quick, I mean, I'm personally not. I mean, you guys can talk about this. I'm not in the business of predicting who's going to win a championship this early in the season. To me, I just don't think it's worth what's the point? We haven't even seen the big. It's not even October yet. So
Yeah, it's a
I
lot.
mean, you guys can talk about it, but I don't know. I don't.
No, it's a lot of time just to figure out who's who and who's doing what.
Yeah, absolutely. So another game we have to go to. The next game is absolutely South Shore versus Dewitt Clinton. So I was at this game. I was taking pictures. Shout out to the whole South Shore staff. And I wrote down here again, you need to go watch games. Oh, shout out to my guy Wheeler.
Yeah,
He
right.
say here. No, absolutely. I mean, Just and Ken do. I mean, you guys have a good problem. You'll have some tough decisions to make, definitely down to later in the season.
Yo, that's the second time I
But
saw that question in the last 2 days.
which one?
Is Lyric Samuel injured?
I guess there's some E-Hall guys in the chat, so maybe they can answer that.
Why are people asking that though? Did he not play?
I don't think he played. Yeah, I don't think he played against
Really? Didn't know that.
Nebraska. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I'll let them handle that.
wow. I didn't know that, man. Wow.
Um.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Are you holding out on information or something? What's going on?
no, I didn't tell you guys that. I thought we were.
Jared, did he say that? Huh? Did you know that?
No, I didn't say it. No, I didn't say it. I thought I told you guys.
What about Lyric?
Yeah, did you know?
So I was looking at the highlights. That was honestly something I meant to ask you guys off stream because I was thinking about it and I was just I was looking and I didn't see him in some of the big plays during Erasmus Hall Canarsie. I was watching some of their drives, didn't see him. I saw Amir do his thing. Also saw big number 13.
13, Victor, right?
Yeah, Victor.
Yeah.
And I was actually I was figuring out how to say his last name literally this morning.
Yeah,
Victor Ebube Anakagu, I believe.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
hope I got that right.
Wait, was he in the chat?
He's a big kid. He's young.
This is him in the chat right here, right?
Played really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. Shout out Victor, man. I mean,
he's a young guy. Tell me about him. I'm not familiar with him. I saw the touchdown.
You saw the touchdown, and it also came in a pretty big spot too. It was early on. It helped Erasmus Hall get going, and he took it to the crib. He showed some speed, and he's I want to say he's at 2027. Victor, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So just a sophomore.
Yeah.
But
he's a move the chain 707 kid as well.
Yeah,
you got all these guys, Mac. All of them.
Yeah, right.
All because that last week it was Caratelli.
Yeah, Caratelli. Yeah.
Rolling out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, move the chains." All right, awesome, Victor. Appreciate it.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting, man.
No, that's incredible. So yeah, him and Lyric on the outside, that's going to be pretty dangerous. But all right, so we do have to get to South Shore. And South Shore, the main thing I want to talk about with South Shore is, again, you guys need to watch the games. Okay? You guys, you in the chat, watch games. Stop watching highlights, and then you put your opinion on the internet. Because then it's wrong. It's probably wrong. And now people who analyze the game at a high level, I'd say, the three of us at least, we have a platform now to call y'all out, because the story on South Shore was they didn't have a great offensive line. They don't have a great front seven. They're all about passing and, but, the teams can get at them because, they're soft on defense. So, I pull up to the Dewitt Clinton game and I'm like, okay, Tyler Cabassis is back. He was back for Dewitt Clinton. Clinton had a win over McKee in week 1, which that game is, that win is a little heavier now. Shout out to my guy Money. You are a top. You're a top analyst in the chat. We need that. We need those analysts in the chat. And then I pull up to the game, and first of all, I'm seeing, and I wrote them down. I'm seeing number 5, Christian Etienne. I'm like,
Yeah.
This is a big guy here. Okay. And then I'm seeing, highlights of number 7, David Jacob from last week. And I was like, oh, I'm pretty impressed with this guy. Like, let me.
He's good, man. He's good.
No, let me go look at this guy. Then I'm seeing number 58, Tyler Thomas.
Tyler, yep. He's got an offer from Temple already, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, shout out to him. And I'm like, wait a minute. Then I see the first play of the game, and I'm seeing, Dewitt Clinton, a good team, struggling to run the ball, like drastically struggling to run the ball. We know Tyler Cabasas is a good player.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, all right. So everyone was just wrong because this South Shore team is building not for the playoffs. They're building for a championship run.
I have a question. Is Nick Cyrus who we thought he was, or who we think he is?
So I'm gonna get to that. I just want to talk about the defense. The answer is yes, by the way. But just to talk about the defense it's a ferocious defense, to be honest with you. And I'm just like really disappointed what everyone told me beforehand, because I went to see this team. I'm like, wow, like they have those 3 guys I named are top dogs, right? And that's only 3 of the 8, because they got 8 other dogs hungry. Number 30, I'm not gonna name everyone else. I'm gonna forget people. And even Rich Perkins, playing safety. I wasn't expecting to see that. And Rich Perkins was doing really well at safety. So, shout out to the defense. Jared, anything on this game, or talk about the defense? And of course, we're gonna talk about Nick Cyrus.
Yeah, South Shore. My bad. They got they performed really well. When I was looking at the stats, I was like, wow. I know Clinton, they are definitely rebuilding their offensive line a little bit, but I know that they're gonna have a successful run game. That is Clinton, and they weren't able to do it. So it was interesting. It showed, South Shore can really compete up front. But now I'm looking at it like, all right, South Shore, they beat up on Clinton, they beat up on Madison. How are they going to do against, the tier 2 teams, though? That's really what I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see that week 5, Battle of the Floss. We'll see that.
That's the first, I'd say, big test. I mean, no disrespect to Midwood, and especially not McKee. We're going to talk about them later. McKee, definitely proved some stuff this weekend as well. But, yeah, Battle of the Floss is going to be big.
Yeah, just definitely shout out. Sorry, I didn't. Number 30, David. Definitely want to shout him out because, like I said, they have top dogs on that defense, and they have 8 other dogs, like for real. Anything on the defense, Mac?
I haven't seen South Shore play. Still trying to get around to seeing a game. I see they play Midwood this week. That's my alma mater, so I would love to go see my boy Will Forte dice them up. But we'll see. We'll see.
No, wait. Lincoln shot by LJ saying that we duck and smoke. Like, Lincoln, please come into the chat. I don't know what you're talking about. We'll pull you into the show if you really want it. I don't know what smoke we ducking. All right. So, of course, now I definitely want to have a section to talk about that defense. I was so impressed with that defense. All right. Everyone wants to talk about Nick Cyrus for some reason.
I haven't seen him.
I shouldn't say for some reason. I shouldn't say it like that. But
I haven't seen
this South Shore offense is building. I spoke to Legree, and me and him were pretty much on the same page. He asked me what I thought about the game, and I said, because when I look at teams, especially this early in the season, I look at the ceiling. I look at the potential on how good they can be. Nick Cyrus has only been there for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They're really integrating the offense, and I feel like they're pacing perfectly. They're running a lot of screens. They're running around a lot of go routes, simple stuff. And once they really start, once he really gets comfortable in that offense, his arm talent is tremendous. And And I think, just someone just moving to a new state in general, I feel like there's a certain level of comfortability he has to get to. And when he gets there, the athletes are tremendous. Rich Perkins had a play where I think he made 3 people miss, cross field, made 2 other people miss, stiff arm somebody, and, you know, got about a 30-yard game. We know Tajay, it's like Tajay at this point is like a ticking time bomb for a big play. Like that's the way I describe him at this point. Just a tremendous athlete. Uh, number 12, Adrian Antoine.
Yeah.
Like I said, all I see him do is catch touchdowns. And then they just have, to be honest with you, it's really hard for me to say that someone has a better receiving core than South Shore. But I spoke a lot about the offense. Mac, or Jared, anyone can pick it up from here.
I have a question for you, man. I mean, you saw them in person. I'm pretty sure you've been to. I want to say you've seen every top team play in the 4A. So
Yeah.
by the eye test, how do you think they match up against Curtis, Lincoln?
Yeah, to be honest, I think to be honest, I think we have to start with JFK first. Like for real. Like I do think we have to start with JFK because I think JFK is that good. So if we start with JFK, again, the front 7 is really, really good. I'm interested to see if they keep Rich Perkins at safety for that game. I would assume they wouldn't, just in my head. But I really like how the front 7 matches up with JFK. And then offensively, it's I think one thing I again, just going back to JFK, that they did a really, really good job with. Travis Harris is definitely one of the best athletes in the PSAL from Eagle. He did score a touchdown. He had a pretty good game towards the end. But one thing that they did very, very well is that they kept everything in front of them. They know that Eagle have a lot of deep threats, and they kept everything in front of them. So that's probably going to be the game plan against South Shore. But then again, you have the ticking time bomb in Tajay, who he loves that intermediate area. So, and then of course you have Rich Perkins. You could just throw a screen to him. So that idea of keeping everything in front of you could come back to bite them because they have so many guys who can catch the ball in space. And then if you call sleeping, Adrian Antoine is going to be behind you catching a touchdown. So I do think they match up well with JFK. And then when you get to the top 4, they need to be more of a finished article to compete with the tier 2. And then the tier 1, I think it would be foolish for anyone at this point to say, anyone's ready to compete with those teams until further notice.
Yeah, it's a different ball.
But I do think that they need to their offense needs to develop more to compete against Lincoln and Curtis, which, the way their schedule is, it wouldn't happen till the playoffs. So that's kind of what I think.
Oh, great.
What about you, Jared?
Yeah, no,
Hold on. Yes, we are. We are going to talk about Lincoln. Yes, we have a lot.
There's a lot to
Get
talk
comfortable.
about. Yeah,
There's a lot to talk about in separation.
I definitely want to get to I want to get to Lincoln. I want to get to McKee. But no, you really you nailed it when it came to their schedule, especially. It's just such like a wait and see kind of game, just because of how like the seedings turned out and like who they have to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if I think about the Canarsie matchup, the Curtis matchup, I think it could be a shootout for sure. I really like their secondary too, to be honest with you. But I do think it could be a shootout. They definitely need to establish the run better to compete with these teams. I don't think they're just gonna, I think Nick is capable of it, but I don't know about him dropping back 40 times against one of these top tier teams. So they do need to establish the run better because that's the big difference between them and Curtis, right? Like them and Curtis kind of play similarly, but then they have Quadair, who is a top tier running back.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else on this game?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah, definitely move on. There's, of course, some other big games in the PSAL.
Yeah, so I think we can get through this game quickly, but Staten Island McKee is not a team that we have spoken about a lot. I did put on the Instagram and I was asking questions about who do you want to see in the game of the week, and someone said, McKee. And I did say that like I was really impressed to see McKee in the 4A. They were in the 3A last year. I'm very confident. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah,
No,
they
you're
were in
right.
the 3A
You're right.
last year, right?
You're right.
Yeah, they're in the 3A last year. They obviously weren't in the championship game. I'm not sure exactly where they finished in the 3A. But to be one of the teams to come up to the 4A, I was like, I'm really impressed to see it. Some teams are duck and smoke, let's be real. And, McKee is clearly not. And I definitely want to shout out number 2, Daniel Mosley. He is an absolute. Actually, no, Jerry, go ahead, man. You're the player guy. I don't want to steal your thunder. This is your thing.
Danny Mosley. Dude, he's impressive. He is impressive. McKee needs to get him the ball more. And when they did, good things happened against Madison. Because you had Mosley when he caught it on a screen. I mean, I think he went 70 or 80 yards or something. He was making
It was 90. I think it was 90.
It was 90,
man.
right? I think
Yeah, because they were right on the goal line. Yeah.
It was 90, exactly. So he made some big plays when he had the ball in his hands, but also running routes, man. He showed he was a deep threat as well, catching a big pass downfield. So I was pretty impressed there with him. And it's a big win for McKee to go into the 4A, beat a team like Madison, and definitely a big win for that program. And it was a great victory.
Right.
Listen, I'm so shocked. I didn't even realize till you guys said it that McKee was in the 3A last year. And then moved up to the 4A. I got I got my JV coach in here when I was at Midwood. Coach Leahy, he coaches at Staten Island McKee as well. I'm super shocked that they moved up to the 4A. I mean, I love that. I love that they did that. They want to compete at the highest level. So I'm hoping they can, make strides and do some great things, man. They got a good win this past weekend.
Yep.
No, seriously. Go ahead, Jared.
No, I was just saying, they definitely, they played Clinton tough. They beat Madison. They have a really tough stretch coming up with Kennedy, South Shore, and Canarsie. I mean, that's not fun.
Yeah,
but
that's tough. I just looked at that, man.
Tough. We'll see where they stand though when you go against those 3 teams. That'll be interesting. It's also a good test on how deep they actually are. So that's interesting. But then after that, you got New Utrecht, Midwood, and Eagle Brooklyn. So 3 games where at this point you're looking at what McKee has done. It's like, all right, these are three games especially that they could be in, and then who knows what could happen in that really tough stretch that I mentioned before. Because McKee, I mean, they're surprising us now, so can't count them out of anything.
Guys,
yeah.
I was going to say I'm also I'm reading the chat. I know we didn't have this on our docket. It's a lot of John Jay kids in here, and they're kind of fighting for their school, which is amazing. It's also amazing that this is their first year having a program, and this is their first year having since the 1960s. This is their first year having a program, and they're in a 3A.
How is that even possible? What?
Enrollment, maybe?
Yeah, enrollment? Yeah, what?
I swear.
Okay. Wow. Congratulations to them. Wow.
Yeah, I know, man. So it's funny just to see some of the kids in the chat saying John Jay versus APR in the 3A championship this year. It's funny, man.
Yes. Yeah, definitely in the chat. I'm letting you guys go, but try to keep it.
Yeah,
talk to us. Talk to us, please. I see you guys. We're gonna talk about the 3A. I promise you. But try to keep it on subject. But yeah, just huge shout out to Staten Island McKee, Daniel Mosley. He also had a crazy head tap for about a 40-yard touchdown. So he's up there as one of the top athletes for sure. And you can see the offense runs through him, and JFK has to, I mean, how do you even get to Staten Island from the Bronx. I don't even know, but that's a far trip. High key. So, huge shout out to Staten Island McKee, and it's another team that, like, realistically, like, we could talk about this now. How many playoff spots are available? Right? Like,
For 4A?
all right. Yes. So, okay. E Hall, Canarsie, Tottenville,
Whoa.
Curtis, right?
Whoa.
That's 4 already,
No.
right?
No. I don't know if you can put Canarsie in there right now. We want to, but being at 0-2 right now and going into Curtis, we can't solidify that spot for them right now. Right now.
Okay. So it is early. Of course, things can change. But between the four horsemen, we all know who they are, South Shore and JFK, those are the 6 2-0s right now. Let me double check, but I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. Those are the 6 2-0s.
So right now we have Erasmus Curtis, Lincoln,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Tottenville, South Shore, and JFK.
Those are the 6 2-0s. Yeah.
So technically, there's 2 spots left, and we want to say about 4 teams is fighting for 4 or 5 teams is fighting for 2 spots.
And one of those teams is Canarsie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there might. I mean, damn, I can't see Canarsie missing playoffs, but like, so we might be talking about 1 spot, man. And this is why. Sorry, I'm just getting on my soapbox again. When people talk about, oh, the PSAL is so boring, like, just take it somewhere else, because you just want to complain. Like, there's so much excitement in this league. I don't know. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, it's now you throw in McKee being better than maybe we thought. Now it's another team in that mix. So that's how I talk about execution. That Eagle JFK game was so big. You don't want to be. I mean, after this next week, I mean, you really don't want to be 1-2.
No.
You really don't want to be 1-2. You know, anything is possible, but you don't want to be 1-2. That's all I'll say. So big week for all the teams this week.
And you want to have at least
next
4
game.
wins. You want to have at least 4 wins going into week 7 versus Tottenville.
Who's that?
Canarsie wants to have at least 4. You want to have at least 4 wins going into week 7 versus Tottenville.
Yeah, and to this point, exactly. So any win Canarsie gets, like, if as crazy as it sounds, because I know it's only week 3, but if Canarsie is able to beat Curtis, that almost might guarantee them a playoff spot because of the power points.
They'll get them.
Yeah, and of course, just so everyone understands, we understand that upsets can happen, right? But we're here to analyze what's in front of us, right? So we have to assume Canarsie is gonna be favored in some of their other games in this season. So if you're one of those teams, make some noise, make an upset.
We're just being realistic. Just being realistic.
Yes, exactly. So I want to move on next to Lincoln versus Port Richmond. The first thing is actually funny. Watching that game, my biggest takeaway is that I don't really like Port Richmond. I'm not gonna lie, it's my first time laying eyes on Port Richmond, and I actually don't shake your head. See, shaking your head. I really think Port Richmond is actually pretty good, honestly. It was another one of those things where it was like, I heard about the loss against Sheep's Head. They lost big against E Hall, so I was like, okay, like, let's see. I turned on Lincoln Media. Shout out to them, definitely fans of them. But I turn on Lincoln Media. I'm like, all right, let's see let's see what Cayenne does. Let's see what the dogs at Lincoln do. But to be honest with you, Port Richmond, they played pretty well, honestly. I definitely want to shout out number 4, Kasim Cromwell.
Yeah, he's the
only
best
a junior. I did not know he was only a junior, because I know Eagle played them. Was it last year? Yeah, I thought he was a junior last year. He is an athlete, and he's another one of those do-it-all men for Port Richmond. So, I was pretty impressed with them, and, Lincoln outmanned them. I mean, Lincoln is a four horseman for a reason. Give me 1 second. Corey Reese is looking super like he's just looking so comfortable. And if I'm Solomon Dakotu, if
Yeah.
I'm Ja'Kai Paul, if I'm Brandon Blue, like you just got to be so happy that Corey's your quarterback because Corey's one of those like yo Ja'Kai down there somewhere.
Yeah.
Solomon down there somewhere. Like Corey gonna let it rip. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna let his athletes make something happen. And boy, did his athletes make something happen. I mean, Ja'Kai had a head tap. Solomon, did you see the picture? I think he posted on his Instagram. Solomon, it's like two people draped over him, and Solomon's going up and catching it, bringing it down. It's just absurd stuff, this kid. And I just see Corey, he's running more. He's looking really comfortable. Um, I'll be completely honest. I don't want to show my cards too early, but maybe it's kind of obvious that I'm higher on Lincoln than most other people. I mean, I think their ceiling is tremendous. I felt like, they were kind of in first gear again. They didn't really have to go into second gear. All the running backs were getting involved. Shout out to Cody Gillespie, of course, Cayenne. You all know what I think about Cayenne. Cayenne all the running backs had a big game, a big day. One thing I will say to Lincoln though is that you guys need to get better with these penalties. You guys officially have a bad habit with the penalties. There's too many plays getting called back for holdings and stuff like that. So Lincoln need to work on these penalties. That's you know what you guys are fighting for. So that's going to be the difference against the E Hall, against a Curtis, against the Tottenville. So definitely got to clean that up. But shout out to Coach O'Connor and all of them. Jared, Mac.
No, we kind of knew what was going to happen with Port Richmond, man. They set Port Richmond up. I feel bad for Port Richmond this season. PSAL, whoever makes the scheduling, must have something against the Port Richmond head coach.
Against that dollar for real. That's what I'm really.
Yeah, just totally screwed Port Richmond over, man. Like that is by far the hardest schedule in the PSAL. Number 4, like you said, he's a dog. We knew what was going to happen with that game with Lincoln. They have Wagner.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
This week. I like that kid. Yeah, they have Wagner this week. We know what's going to happen with the Wagner game in Lincoln. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough matchup for Port Richmond, and I mean it only gets tougher. Tottenville, Canarsie, South Shore. I mean that is pretty insane. I mean,
wow, they got South Shore on their schedule.
Yeah, no, it's pretty insane.
I didn't know they had South Shore. No, that actually is crazy.
I know. So you got that. That's really difficult stretch, and Lincoln, man, they're good. I mean, Corey Reese to Solomon Dakota and the rest of those really good receivers. And of course, Kyan running it. Now, I love this Lincoln offense. They're going to be super tough the rest of the way. And yeah, it's honestly kind of what we expected. And yeah, Lincoln's got Wagner coming up next. That should be good. But I think everyone's really looking forward to the week after for Lincoln when they get another shot at Tottenville, little semifinal match.
Woo. Yep. That's a rivalry game.
Hell
yeah, I feel like they've played each other forever. Right?
You guys, man, it's a rivalry game, man.
Come on now, Lincoln Tottenville doesn't get much more New York City football than that.
Wait, hold on real quick. Please put a little respect on Port Richmond because they made the playoffs last year. So
they're right.
They deserve to be here. They deserve to be here. Put some respect on Port Richmond, please.
Yeah, Port Richmond, man, they beat Canarsie last year, and they beat a couple other teams to get there. I think they got a couple Staten Island wins, maybe.
They must have graduated a lot of seniors.
Yeah, I think they were just like Wagner. I think they were a senior-heavy team.
Yeah.
Wagner and it's interesting because those 3 Staten Island teams that got into the playoffs to make it 5 Staten Island playoff teams last year. Newdorp, Wagner, and And Port Richmond, I feel like they graduated a lot, especially Wagner and Newdorf. I know for a fact that they graduated like a ton of guys. So
No, for sure. So, all right. So we have two games to go over. We'll go over them kind of quickly. I know there's just so much to talk about. And by the way, I know you guys mentioned Lincoln, Tottenville. Like that week, that is week 4. Lincoln, Tottenville, Canarsie, Hall. I wonder if they did that on purpose. Like I was thinking about that because I kept like kind of felt a little guilty. I was like, dang, like how do I not have Tottenville, Lincoln on the game of the week schedule? But I'm like, wait, Tottenville, Lincoln, and Hall, Curtis are on the same day. I wonder if they did that on purpose. I don't know. That's a little fishy. PSA. I'm watching. So the next one, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Midwood.
Yes,
Midwood
sir.
28. Midwood 28,
how about it?
24
How about it?
on the road. Big shout out to Midwood. I mean, they struggled heavily against Eagle Academy in that first week. Utrecht is not an easy place to go play, so huge shout out to them. Mac, that's the alma mater, man. Talk them up.
I'm saying it right now. Midwood's making the playoffs this year. Midwood's going to be one of the teams making the playoffs. Let me see their schedule real quick. Beat Utrecht. Then they got South Shore.
You said like 3 teams making them.
Listen, I got Midwood. They beat Utrecht. I got to see how that. Why they changed the game against South Shore. Oh, it's all right. It's to a Saturday. They have South Shore. I'm hoping. Oh God, no. All right. I don't know.
They change your mind.
I was
gonna say I should have gave you a second, but
yeah, I had
a lot
to.
of love for Midwood because they, big win for them. They're a good team, good program, but playoffs is gonna be tough this year.
I'm hoping they just added some kids because I just seen that I just remembered that Eagle Academy beat them 36-7. So I gotta ease. I gotta take a step back.
It's I think it'll be tough for Midwood, but it's that 8th seed is going to be tough for that 7-8 seed. Like it's going to be tough for anyone. You know what I'm saying? So, it's going to be really tough. I see something here. I don't want to hop around too much. Again, I think it's too early to say things like this.
Smoke LJ was saying you're ducking, Andre. This is the smoke right here.
Wow.
What smoke am I ducking? Because I'm not going to.
One of these questions, these kind of questions right here.
Wait, Mac, did you say before? Because I think we talked about it last week. Is South Shore locked in? Say they they do their thing and they make the playoffs. Are they the 6 if everything goes as planned?
Yes.
All right, that's wow.
That is probably.
Andre, I don't know what you have to do to get that. That might be one of the best 3 versus 6 quarterfinal games like ever.
Seriously,
Fergus South Shore.
Seriously. But no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not ducking smoke by saying that I'm not going to make a prediction without all the information in front of me. Like this is be a blind pick. Who are they playing? Where are they going? Right? Like, could it be Tottenville? Could it be Hall? Could it be Lincoln? Could it be Curtis? Like, my answer is going to be different depending on what the team is. And South Shore has such a high ceiling. They have such a high ceiling, but they need to develop it. You know what I'm saying? Like they are a work in progress. I mean, Jared, Mac, do you guys want to go ahead and answer this?
Do I think South Shore is a first round exit? If South Shore plays Erasmus or Tottenville, yes, first round exit. The tier 2 schools, Curtis, Lincoln, then I can't. I mean, it can go anywhere. It can go anywhere. So it really depends on seeding. If they get that 6th seed, then yeah. 7 and 8, yeah. First round, I don't see them. I don't see them right now competing with those 2 programs.
Yeah, and I think this is a good follow up from 904 President. Like I get it. Like, I mean, we're not going to come up here. Like I said, we're analyzing these games. Like, we're not going to come up here and just throw. We're not going to come up here and guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, once we have more information, like we're going to talk about who I think is the top wide receiver. And the reason why I don't have a list for who's the top wide receiver because I'm not ready to do that. Right? Like, I'm ready to say who the top wide receiver is, but we can't do guesswork. You can do guesswork in the group chat. Like, this isn't a group chat, obviously. Are there any Queens schools in the 4A? No, which I think is really not good. Honestly, I don't like it, to be honest with you. I don't know why there's such a. I was talking to somebody this weekend. I'm not sure why this seems like a talent drain in Queens, and it's kind of throughout the sports, to be honest with you.
Wow, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, I don't like it. And someone said, I personally think y'all are counting Eagle out. I'd be curious to see where you came up with that because I think always said that they need to execute better, and they also got beat down. So I don't think it's really the time to sing their praises, and they need to be better.
South Shore has the best receiving corps in PSAL. Whoa. I think Lakeland has something to say about that.
I guess we'll see. I think a few teams do. South Shore, Lincoln, Curtis. I'm not gonna disrespect E-Hall. I haven't seen E-Hall. I saw him against Hayes, but I'm not counting that. So I got to see him again. But yeah, South Shore, Lincoln, and Curtis have absolutely elite receiving cores. But yes, shout out to Midwood. Utrecht, try to dust yourself off and make something of it. Don't want to fall to 0-3. Utrecht is definitely a team I got a lot of respect for. So dust yourself off and let's see who Utrecht has week 3. They have Clinton. All right, so big game for both of those teams. Clinton does not want to fall to 1-2, and Utrecht, you don't want to fall to 0-3. So you got to defend the crib.
Yeah.
In the last game, but we'll go over this quickly. 49-6, Tottenville over New Dorp. 5 touchdowns between Corey Brown, Nick Constantino, and Tyshawn. Tottenville they've won the last 2 weeks by combined what? And Curtis both won by like 100-14, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Mac, you're not allowed to talk about Staten Island. Mac, all right, let's get back. Mac, you can't talk about Staten Island schools anymore. Jared, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Man, yeah, they really gave Tottenville the PSAL. They gave Tottenville the whole the Staten Island start in the sense of giving them Wagner, New Dorp, and Port Richmond, and yeah, Tottenville's flying through. And what's interesting with them this year, everyone talked about Corey Brown and Tyshawn Bent, rightfully so. They literally might be the best running back duo in the city. But how about Nicholas Constantino? He's made it. Man. He's made it a 3-headed monster now, and of course Justin McGuire is pretty good at quarterback. So now this Tottenville offense added another serious weapon. And yeah, T-ville has leveled up. It seems like they returned basically everyone from last year. They're rolling right now. Mac, don't make a comment. They're going to roll through Port Richmond though, and then they got Lincoln after. So that's going to be exciting. And then Tottenville's schedule gets really interesting. And I don't even have to say what October 25th is, but
yeah,
you better be on Sage Media. You better be on Sage Media October 25th.
Yeah, and again, I feel like my opinion on Tottenville will remain the same until I see something different. They just need to be able to stretch the field. I have to see them play. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see them play until week 7. Tottenville people, if you guys can send me some highlights, I'd like to see more of your games. I know it's the Tyshawn and Corey Brown show. I do think in that E-Hall matchup, I do think you need to be able to stretch the field. I think that was the big difference in the championship game, especially when they went down. I know Nick can definitely. Well, I know Corey and Nick and Tyshawn all have pretty good hands. But yeah, I definitely need to see them stretch the field. But from what I've seen from Mr. McGuire, he was throwing the ball much better than last year. So
I think he's going to be like a 4-year starter. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
How old is McGuire? Does anyone know?
I think he's a junior now.
Yeah, he's a junior.
Oh,
He's been around for a little
junior.
bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a 4-year. I think he started as a freshman.
Yeah, he did.
No, I thought he threw the ball much more confidently when I saw him against Bishop Moore. But yeah, I definitely they need to be able to stretch the field to beat E Hall. That's my opinion. But there is a world where they just dominate them on the ground and play some really good defense. So there is a world where that happens. So I think is this what you're laughing at?
Yeah. State champs.
Coach Ed.
State champs have entered the building.
I like that energy though. I like that.
I mean, they're the best team in the state.
Whoa.
We'll talk about that later though. But Cardinal is the best in the state.
Yeah, them boys in New Rochelle may have something to say. Boys in New Rochelle might have something to say, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So yes, that is the PSAL separation weekend. We took an hour and 15 to talk about that, which is crazy, but I knew that was going to be long. I mean, it was just that I just felt like the way the games were, it was just so perfectly that I felt like we saw a lot of the tiers just work themselves out perfectly. So shout out to everyone. Like I said, if you're 0-2, dust yourself off, get back to 1-2. If you were 0-1 and now you're 1-1, keep that momentum. And if you are chat's funny. And if you were 1-0, riding high, got knocked back a peg, dust yourself off. Don't fall to 1-2. Big week. So now let's talk about the 3A. And there is only one person and one team to start with. And that is Fort Hamilton and Aiden Farley.
Yes, sir.
Mac, I will let you take this. Are you serious? Are you serious?
Listen, I'm just glad that these PSAL refs is letting the game go on. Right. This is the second week where Fort Hamilton has put up like 46. What was it? Last week they put up. Let me check the numbers. So
it was 64-28.
I'm so happy that PSAL is letting the games go this long now. Last week, against Cardozo, it was 46-0, and then 64-28 versus Bayside.
Jesus Christ.
Yo, so this is interesting. I'm happy for Aiden and the Fort Hamilton team. I think they're gonna do some serious things. Do they play APR?
No. That's not till next week. Next week, right? Not this week.
They play
this weekend they play boys and girls. Who's the defending champs? I can't really speak too much on boys and girls.
All right. Real quick, I will say this will be the last time I say if boys and girls loses another game, I'm not going to say this team upset boys and girls. It seems like they're having a tough time. I don't want to keep putting them in the spotlight.
Yeah.
I just want to make that statement. It seems like they're having a tough time this season. It's just very unexpected because we obviously coming off the championship, we were all thinking very highly of boys and girls. So
I think they're going to turn it around. I hope they're going to turn it around. I'm not sure if they have enough for Hamilton, but I think eventually they will turn it around. So Fort Hamilton has boys and girls, and then they play APR. APR, that's the game that I'm really looking forward to seeing. They're going to have their hands full. If it's going to be a shootout, it's going to be a shootout. APR is going to have to keep up, and I think they have the abilities to do so. If I had to take a crazy take right now, I think Travis Gamble is the best player in the 3A. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, Mac. I think he's the best player in the 3A also. But man, statistically, Aiden Farley, he is making a case.
Yes.
I mean,
Say,
I think
is it
his
that
numbers
obvious
look
from
great
Aiden?
last year. He
Yeah.
might lead the PSAL in passing. I mean, I think he's leading it right now, but like in general, I mean, he is slinging it all over the field, man. Farley has been special for a Ford Hamilton team that has exceeded my expectations. I mean, what, they're averaging over 50 points per game in their first two contests. It's pretty insane. And I don't know too much with boys and girls right now. I know that they've gotten off to a rocky start. So, Ford Hamilton, I imagine that, they win that one. And then it's a big one, man. Ford Hamilton, APR. That's going to be a lot of fun. And
Where
also,
is that game?
they beat
It's in Bronx.
Fort Hamilton. They beat up a Bayside team. That Bayside, I mean, they competed with APR. Bayside, Brian Lee is a good quarterback, and they have some good players over there. But and they were right there with APR, so it's interesting that Fort Hamilton handled them like that. So now it makes it interesting for the 3A, where it's Fort Hamilton, APR. A lot of people think are the top two dogs, so that's gonna be a fun one.
We will get to this. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. We will
Yes.
get to that. We will definitely get to that.
Yes.
I definitely want to give a shout out to Harold Marshall III, Harold Marshall III, he had 200 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns, including like a really long screen pass for a touchdown. So Fort Hamilton, I guess the last time I saw Fort Hamilton was 2020, and they were really in bad shape. So I'm just so happy, such a historic program. People like me and Mac know, how historic, Fort Hamilton is. And if I'm not mistaken, is that like the biggest school in the city or something like that? Like, don't they have like a ton of kids?
Midwood.
Midwood is the biggest? Okay.
Midwood got 4,500 kids.
Okay. But Fort Hamilton has a lot of kids too, right?
They have like around 4,000 too as well.
Yeah. So huge shout out to
Tech too. Tech has like 4,000 something kids too.
Sorry, who'd you say has 4,000 kids?
Brooklyn Tech.
Brooklyn Tech, yes.
Yeah.
Whoops, that was the wrong one. But yes, to talk about Brooklyn Tech. Do you know Brooklyn Tech hasn't given up a point in the PSAL this year yet through 2 weeks? Brooklyn Tech is super tough, man.
You see Tech's situation? People was talking high about Tech, man. I'm glad to see that they're putting something together. They said the kids is huge and strong this year. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and again, that was a team that I saw them a few years ago, and I saw them in 2021 or 22 or something like that, and they were really struggling. And again, to see them dominating, I know they have a beautiful new field out in pretty sure it's Clinton Hill, Brooklyn. So shout out to them, and I don't think they were in the 3A last year. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, they were. They were in the 3A.
They were in the 3A? Okay.
Yeah, they were actually they were decent, honestly, in the 3A last season, but it wasn't anything super crazy. Like, I don't think anyone was picking them to win. I think they went to the playoffs, but no one was picking them to win anything. But yeah, Brooklyn Tech, man, shout out them. They've been really, really good. They also have it's not like, they're not star driven, in my opinion, or at least from the stats. It looks like they got a lot of playmakers so far. I definitely have to watch film on them and get some research going. Because Tech, they're putting themselves on the map.
Wow, the comments is, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
the
79 people shout out.
Yo, the comments this week is rolling.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I can't even click on it. Like, I'm trying to click on one, and it just keeps moving.
The comments are rolling.
So I'm trying to click on this one. Hold on, where is it? Okay, who is the top back in the PSAL? Oh, in the 3A. I mean, I think it's, to be honest with you, it's very obvious who it is. But I do want to shout out Lehman's running back. I'm trying to see if I can find his name, because he is actually super tough. Yeah, he is super tough.
Because Samir Thomas is really, really good. Like, if you guys haven't seen him play, man, he is
from Lehman, right?
Super fun to watch. I know Lehman,
he's tough.
I don't think with Lehman's schedule, I think they're actually playing pretty good football right now. I know Thomas has been, excellent so far this year. I think he led the PSAL in rushing last season. He might do it again. Yeah, Lehman's 2-0 right now. and they cruise in their first couple victories. Their schedule's not all that difficult.
Yeah, not at all.
They're gonna be.
Wait a second. They let Stuyvesant score 26.
Lehman? Yeah, they did. Wow. Yeah, they
Oh,
did.
Wait a second.
I,
What's going on here? What's going on here?
so Samir though, 200 yards on the ground.
Wow.
And then he had another 175 this weekend. Like I still think Travis Campbell's the top running back in the 3A. I'll say that, of course. Like he is the best running back in the 3A, but let's not forget about Samir Thomas. That's a good shout by you, Andre.
And I just want to read off the 2-0 teams in the 3A. APR, Brooklyn Tech, Fort Hamilton, Franklin K. Lane, Truman, and Lehman. This playoffs is gonna be fire. The 3A playoffs are gonna be fire.
I like it. I like 3A ball right now. I like 3A ball. Lane is trying to make some noise too.
Mm-hmm. And Truman, they're like a quiet 2-0 because they cruise through John Jay and Christopher Columbus, but Truman's playing pretty good, man. They got a kid, DeVay Saunders, who is another talented running back. So, Truman from the Bronx, that's gonna be interesting. They got Brian Stuyvesant, boys and girls coming up, so we'll definitely keep our eye on Truman.
Oh, Truman and Lehman, that has to be a rivalry. That's the last week of the season.
King of the North game. You know what? I don't want. I'm pretty sure it's something like that, but I don't want to.
I might have to make my.
I'm pretty sure it's a big rivalry. I'm almost positive it's a big rivalry.
I kind of want to make my way to that. And Lehman and Truman, these were two teams before COVID. If I'm not mistaken, both of these teams were in the top division. So it's really nice to see them really improving. So huge shout out to the 3A.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, he was right. So it is the King of the North game.
Yeah, I was almost positive. I just wanted to make sure there.
No, I love that. Yes, yeah. Who is all right, guys? This is what I'm saying about this analysis. Who is sleep? I hope we're not talking about us because we literally just talked about the 3A for like the past 15 minutes. This is interesting. I think anything could happen in the 4A as well.
Right,
I mean, I know there's Erasmus.
Yeah, there's still parity.
That's a good take, though. So I think that 3A is more balanced. I think they have more teams that you don't know what can happen, rather than the 4A where only one king in the north. Oh God!
Yeah, let's be real. He's not wrong. I can't prove. Like, don't play with Cardinal Hayes' names, please.
When does Hayes play? Iona Prep. When is that game? Anybody know? Jared?
I actually don't know. How do I even?
I'm gonna take a look right now. I actually had it pulled up because I'm tuned in to the championship rematch for sure.
If that game's in the Bronx, I might have to go to that.
Yeah, no, I was at the AAA championship last year, and I know it was a championship game, but that had to be one of the coolest experiences ever. Shout out to those fans, man, especially the Hayes fans. Super passionate. Yeah, they all rushed the field. It was really cool. But anyways, Cardinal Hayes, Iona Prep. See,
that's
this is
the 11th. That's 10-11.
This is what's tough. I was gonna say Friday night. It's the same day as the Battle of the Floss.
Oh
man.
God, man. I know everyone who's at home is about to is gonna have their 2 TVs up, get a monitor or something like that, get their computer,
tough.
Trying to play for both. Yeah, I definitely am not thrilled that it's the same time.
No, that's tough. So yes, so shout out the 3A ball. Your playoffs is going to be extraordinary. We want to keep it moving. I knew it would be a little longer of a show today, but we're moving, and we're getting to. I'm calling it Sage's pick for the number 1 wide receiver in the PSAL 4A. Now, I have not showed this to Jared and Coach Mac on purpose. I want to get their genuine reaction to this. So why is it, first of all, why is there only one person on this list? Why is it not a top 5, a top 10? It's simply because I am not ready to do that. And especially out of respect for Erasmus, I have to see those guys with my own eyes. I only saw them against Cardinal Hayes. So I'm not ready to name those players. So also, I'm not going to do like a honorable mention. I was thinking about putting together an honorable mention, but I was like, let's save that for when we actually has a list. But I think I have seen enough from this player, and he's absolutely the number one player. And this is my opinion. Jared and Mac haven't seen this yet, so we're gonna talk. In my opinion, Solomon Dekotu is the number one wide receiver in the PSAL. This guy is, when you, how do I say it? Like young boys and stuff like that, everyone, in their name is D1 something, right? Everyone has that as their Instagram tag, right? If you want to be a D1 player, if you want to be a college player, let's not even say D1. If you want to be a college player, you have to pop out. Like you have to be like, whoa, who the hell is that? Like that's how you got to play. That's how you have to work. That's how you have to study. Like, who is that? And Solomon is just he is that player. And again, like when you have opinions and when you're, ranking people in teams. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me. Yes, timeout. We don't do glazing talk. No, we're shining light on some players here. So, yeah, Solomon Dekotu, in my opinion, is one of the best players, and these are the attributes that I consider like what I want to see from a wide receiver. So first of all, like the range of catches. Actually, before I get into all this, Jared, Coach Mack, your thoughts?
Solomon, yeah. I had Solomon as an elementary student in summer camp when he was in the 3rd grade. Him and his brother. And I knew those guys were going to be ballers, man. I'm glad that, he's getting the recognition that he deserves now. I saw him play in the Canarsie game, had a crazy game. He's grown 4 inches from last season.
No, you're lying. You're
Wow.
lying.
Yeah, Solomon was a little guy, man.
Wait, how tall is he now?
He maybe 5'9", 5'10" now, maybe 5'9". I wouldn't say 5'10". Maybe like 5'9". He's grown crazy. He played 7-on-7 with us as well.
Helps.
That's crazy because he was tough last year too.
Yeah. Wow.
He was small last year. If you even look at like his film from last year, he was small, and when he was getting recruited last year, I feel like his height kind of messed him up. Since last season, like I said, he's grown. Even looking at this picture, it's crazy to see this picture of him right here, man. He looks so much taller now. And that's helped his game tremendously, man. I'm definitely looking to see more of him this season. But yeah, he's a dog. He's a dog on both sides of the ball. That's the funny part.
Jared?
Yeah, listen, Solomon's, he's fantastic. And what he's done this year, like obviously I watched his game against Canarsie and, how well he's played, throughout this season so far, doing his thing against Port Richmond. Now, Solomon's a baller, and he is easily one of the top receivers in the PSAL. I know you got him at number 1. And, I mean, when it comes to, like, debating the top guys, I mean, I don't know are we counting Lyric in this situation? I'm not totally familiar with, like, if he played against Canarsie or not. I know that's, like, a conversation, I guess, for another time. But, yeah, Solomon, he's excellent. He's making big plays down the field that's kind of really changing games. And yeah, right now he's definitely having, I'd say, the biggest impact on the field. I think Evan Dukes, though, is also there in that conversation. South Shore, you can name a couple of guys, but I think we're still kind of waiting on that a little bit. Of course, if you told me top receiver though in the PSAL, it's hard for me to dethrone Lyric yet, but I understand what you mean in the sense of like what Solomon has done through the first 2 games, the impact wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's been legit.
Yeah, and so just to go through the attributes, is like I said before, like when you're analyzing these players, when you're making these lists, I feel like it has to be based on something. And of course, everyone has opinion. And when I look at wide receivers, the first thing I look at is their range of their catches. And that is something that Solomon. First of all, I think he has close to 20 catches through like the first 2 games. And I think he has 3 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So, first of all, like the range of catches, we've seen Solomon, catch a screen pass. He just did it against Port Richmond, catch a screen pass, make it into 60, catching the deep ball, catching the ball in traffic, going up and high pointing it. We all saw the head tap against Canarsie. He had another head tap over 2 people in the Port Richmond game. The route running, you're seeing the different catches he's making. Again, he's coming off a screen and catching it. He's running deep, catching it. He's jumping over people, catching it. He's breaking on a 10-yard out route on the boundary side. So the play I'm referencing is against Lincoln against Canarsie when Corey Reese was throwing the ball from his own end zone, and on the near side of the field, Solomon ran about a 12-yard out route. So everyone in the chat is most likely familiar with football, but running an out route to the boundary side is a very, very tight window. And for the spot that was in the game, it just shows you the confidence that Reese has in Solomon, the confidence that Coach O'Connor has in Solomon. And that was just a really big spot and a really big moment in that game. And of course, like the breakaway speed, the hands, the blocking, and your general motor. Like I'm very critical of wide receivers. I think catching the ball is something very hard to do. People say, "Oh, he dropped it. How did he drop it?" I believe that catching the ball is hard to do, but I'm going to be honest. Everything else a wide receiver does compared to everyone else, I don't think it's that hard. Like running hard, running your routes hard, blocking for your teammates, having a high motor, that should be natural. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you how many times I've yelled at a wide receiver because a 12-yard run could have been 30, but you half blocked the cornerback and he makes a tackle. And that's just something that Solomon does not do. So yeah, I definitely want just to have a little spot to shine light on him because from these first 2 weeks, I don't think anyone's been more impressive than him, to be honest with you. Maybe Aiden Farley, but Solomon just definitely want to give him his flowers. So, anything else, you guys, on this?
Nope.
No,
Yeah,
that's it.
all good. Ready to move on.
Yeah, so that's my pick for the top player. I know we're running late, and I figured this would happen. But Jared, do you want to give us a quick Catholic League recap?
Yeah, it'll be quick. And listen, the AAA, pretty interesting. If you didn't see Friday night, St. Anthony's played against Monsignor Farrell. Really exciting game. It was back and forth. St. Anthony's, very, very rare that they lose their homecoming, but last year they did to Monsignor Farrell. It was a pretty big deal. So looking for a revenge win in Staten Island, and they were able to get it. Gary Merrill, over 200 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, and then he ran for over 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he had part in all 5 TDs for the Friars. They win 35-27. Big win for St. Anthony's to beat Farrell. And then also in the AAA, listen, man, Cardinal Hayes, I think they're just on a different level right now. They went into more Catholic, cruised through a good Mavericks team. This Hayes defense has shown to be really, really good. And yeah,
Oh,
Cardinal
tough.
Hayes, very, very impressive. And Andre, Kellenberg, big win for them, honestly. And listen, because Fordham Prep is a good Double-A team. I think Kellenberg really needed to get this victory on the road. Firebirds took care of business. Jack Durso was great, and a big one on Long Island, inter-island matchup. Chaminade and St. John the Baptist, another revenge spot.
Big matchup.
Because last year, St. John the Baptist didn't just beat Chaminade. Honestly, like it was
a shock.
They
An
put
absolute
on a
shock.
show. St. John's put on a show against Chaminade. They were partying on that field. Like it was, and St. John's, it's rare that they beat Chaminade, so they really had fun. And
someone please tell me the last time that's ever happened. Like seriously,
exactly.
Like,
so special win last year.
I'm 32 years old. I've never seen it happen. So.
Yeah, so exactly. That was a special win for St. John's and special team last year, but the Chaminade team is legit. Their defense was great. Luis D'Agostino had 3 sacks. Tim Murphy, a quarterback, he ran one in. He threw one to Brady Murray. Big win for Chaminade. And then finally to close it out, AAA rivalry, classic Stepinac Iona Prep. Unfortunately, it wasn't an instant classic like years previous. It was all Iona Prep.
Julian talent Guzman, though, the display of talent on that in that game was crazy.
Iona's really, really good. They kind of just, they cruised through. Shout out to Zaire Spellman, though, of Archbishop Stepinac. He had some crazy plays. Like, go look it up on Twitter. He had a couple of catches that were insane. He's one of the best receivers in the state. But yeah, Iona Prep, though, they're on a different level than Stepinac this year, and I definitely think they're going to give Hayes a really good game. It was all Iona.
One thing real quick, like Jared, like I was just thinking of it's Merrill from St. Anthony's, right? That's how you say
Gary Merrill. By the way, North Carolina lacrosse commit. He is just an actor.
Oh, he committed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
I didn't know.
He's one of the best lacrosse players. He's one of the best lacrosse players in the country. Like, I'd say he's a top 10 lacrosse player in the country.
One thing I want to say about Merrill, and I'm sure you remember Jared, of course, because you covered the Catholic League. Remember last year, he was not like the starting quarterback last year. Like at the very beginning, they almost like stumbled on him. Like,
it was they were splitting time, and then Peyton Robinson, who's now at Long Island Lutheran, another very talented quarterback.
Shout out to him, killing it. By the way, what? Sorry, I didn't know that. When did he get hurt? This week?
No, Peyton Robinson, he got hurt. I was talking about last year. Peyton Robinson's killing it at Lehigh.
Okay.
But last year he got hurt, so Gary kind of was playing. So Gary got the gig full time, and he went berserk. And Gary Merrill, really good. He had a crazy game against Farrell. St. Anthony's plays Stepinac next week. Friday night. Sorry, I meant to get the segment done quick, but you got the Sage Media game of the week that we're going to talk about in a little bit. You get that early on. I believe is that 4:30.
That's a 4:30 kickoff, yeah.
Yeah, 4:30 kickoff. You watch that, and then at 7:00 that same night, if you want to high school football it out, you got St. Anthony's and Stepinac, and then also Cardinal Hayes taking on Monsignor Farrell. Pretty fun slate. Both are at 7:00. So Hayes Farrell, good city matchup. That's fun. They didn't get to play each other last year, by the way, so it's gonna be entertaining.
No, I'm very excited. Again, no one can call me biased. I'm a Kellenberg guy. Shout out to Coach Micey and all them boys. But we're talking about it a bit offline. There's definitely, it might be a 2-horse race in the Catholic League, but I definitely want to highlight Chaminade, man. They are really looking great, and who knows if they can make some noise already. The biggest win of the season. Yeah, I still can't think of a bigger win than Chaminade over St. Anthony's. So definitely a shout out to them. We'll see Catholic, a lot of exciting stuff in New York football. Shout out to Ian Strong as well. There's a highlight of Ian Strong for Rutgers.
Big time, man. Ian, amazing kid on and off the field, and he's doing his thing at Rutgers. It's fun. It's entertaining.
Is he a true sophomore? Right?
He's a true sophomore.
A redshirt freshman?
Ian Strong is a true sophomore, man. He played last year as a freshman.
Oh my God,
dude! He's crazy.
He's going to the league.
There's a chance. If you have time, look at Ian Strong's senior year mixtape on Huddle. It's crazy. And then look at what he's doing now at Rutgers. Pretty nuts.
Nah, that's awesome. So Mac, just real quick, anything on the Catholic League before we move on?
Yeah, I'm reading the comments, man. Somebody said Stumpington and Moore is good, and Farrell will be 1-4 Saturday night. It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, some Staten Island hate right
crazy.
now in the comments. Oh,
yeah, man.
Yeah, he doesn't like Staten
Island. Oh my god. People are crazy.
That's hilarious. So we're gonna move on to the last segment, of course, same as every week, where we preview the Sage Standout Game of the Week, and it is Eagle Academy versus Madison. So Mac, what's up, man? I see you shaking your head, man. What's up, man?
Oh my gosh. This is oh my gosh. I know when we first started this, like when we had we went live and we kind of went through all of the games. I predicted this game. I'm not even sure what I said. I'm pretty sure I said Eagle. Now I have no idea what happens here.
Yeah, just to put you guys into some context, this is when the league was the cup, the bowl, the championship division. This was one of the hottest rivalries in that bowl division. Eagle went about, I want to say 6 years until they got their first win over Madison last year. And it was honestly a pretty emotional day for Eagle finally getting over the hump. Madison has knocked Eagle Academy out of championships, semifinals, first rounds of the playoffs. So, this is a rivalry, man. Well, Coach Jones doesn't call it a rivalry until they get 2 wins. So that's what Coach Jones said in the interview. Madison has been struggling this year. They're one of those 0-2 teams. But Madison shouldn't, you know, Madison should come into this game with all the confidence. They have history on their side. Um, and if there's any spot to get your season back on track, it's in the game of the week. Absolutely. And Eagle Academy, like we said, execution, execution, execution. I do believe that Eagle can be in the playoffs this year. I feel like, with Cody Williams, Travis Harris, and I'm so impressed with a Madison transfer, Jaleo Tang. I've been really impressed with him at running back. So, no, he has a little homecoming himself here, playing against his old squad. But Eagle Academy, if you want to be a playoff team, this has to be a game you win. It's a big spot here. It's the game of the week. So, Jared, I'll throw it to you. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, this game is so important for both of these teams because, listen, I know Madison, they lost to McKee last week, but listen, they still got some talent, and trust me, they're not giving up on their season just yet. So it feels like definitely a must win for them. And you look at Eagles' schedule, Eagle 2, they have a very realistic chance of getting that last spot. It's going to be tough. But man, I mean, it's crazy that it's only September, and we're talking about how important this game is for the postseason. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to see Eagle 2 again because JFK, it didn't, obviously go their way, but they got a lot of playmakers. And now I finally get to see Madison in a full game. So we'll see how Madison kind of responds to, Cody Williams and Eagle because last week Madison had a little bit of trouble with Danny Mosley and, Eagle also has some athletes. So how are they going to respond? Are they going to be able to slow down some of these Eagle playmakers? We're going to find out because, of course, they're going to have to be able to do that if they want to be successful.
Coach Mac?
Yeah, man. I think this is going to be a 7 to 8 point game. I don't see this being a blowout. Madison is going to fight. Both teams is coming off, rough weeks, so they're both trying to fight for this win. So this should be interesting. When is this game?
No, this
Saturday?
game is Friday I actually thought it was Saturday myself, but it is Friday at 4:30. I just went to quadruple check, so it is Friday at 4:30 at the new Eagles Nest. Not
Friday at 4:30.
777 Rutland, not Old Boys Field. It is at the new Eagles Nest.
Right. Right. Okay.
I
Friday,
like the game
4:30.
time
All right,
start,
cool.
man. Get one nice in early. That's
Oh, I
good.
hate it. I hate it.
Oh, I know you. Yeah, I'm sorry, Andre. I was gonna say it's good. It's good for the fans back home.
Listen, I know Madison loves it. The kids gonna get out of
they're
school
gonna leave
early.
their
Oh,
last
that's a
play.
good point.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, last 2
they gotta
periods
be
they're out of
excited
there.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So of course, make sure you tune in to the Sage Standout Game of the Week. And of course, we're wrapping up here. Of course, we got to throw up that full schedule. It's a little crazy that this is the last game in September, you know, and just like Jared said, we're already talking playoffs. I mean, if I take a quick peek at the schedule, I mean, let's see if I can do this fast. I know we're talking Canarsie versus Curtis, obviously Eagle versus Madison, New Utrecht versus Clinton. And who does JFK play? Doesn't JFK have a big game? JFK versus McKee. I mean, these are some gigantic games for the playoffs already. And I'm just going to reiterate it for the last time. Teams that lost this week, dust yourself off, practice hard this week because week 3 is by far the most important week. Gotta get a win. You know, if you lose this week, don't be upset at Coach Mack or Jared if we aren't singing your praises on the Monday because if you're 0-3, if you're 1-2, things are gonna start taking shape. So we might have to talk about you differently. Jared, Mac?
Yeah, man. I'm happy to see what's gonna happen this weekend. It should be real interesting, man.
Yeah, it's another week where it's teams have the opportunities to make statements, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun, and yeah, I can't wait. And we're starting off the weekend with Eagle Madison 4:30, nice and early. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. So like I said, I knew that this week would be a long show. I mean, we peaked at just under 80 people watching. The chat was going
Awesome. Thank you
crazy.
guys. Yeah, chat was
This
nuts
wasn't
tonight. That was nuts. It was definitely nuts.
Yo, this was freaking awesome. Huge shout out to Coach Mac. By the way, and my apologies, Mac, because I wanted to bring this in when we were talking about Aiden, but you need to tap in with Move the Chains because you see what Aiden's doing. Aiden was one of the featured players in the Rising Stars Bowl. So you need to tap in
Yeah.
with Coach Mac. All right. Catholic League.
Yeah, the kids. Listen, the kids. Please don't promote it right now because the kids are. This is crazy. The kids are DMing the Move the Chains page and they're asking, "I want to play in the game. How does it work?" I mean, listen, it's a whole process, and we didn't start it yet. The forms will be going out in about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then it's a 2 or 3 week selection process. So it's a while. But when the forms go out, we'll definitely let everybody know, and then we'll go from there, man. So it's not like you fill out the form and you're automatically playing. That's not how it works. I know guys are in the DMs right now and they're talking kind of crazy, saying that, oh, I need to be playing in the game. So a bunch of coaches look at the film and then they kind of go from there.
So real quick. So if I'm not mistaken, oh, I gotta talk to Riley actually. There is a Brooklyn Senior Bowl, the Riley All-Star game. What's it called? The Fugazi Bowl and
Nah, the one in Brooklyn
the Riley Classic.
is the
And what's
Riley
Staten
Classic.
Island?
Yeah,
Fugazi.
and Staten Island
Yeah,
is the
Fugazi.
Fugazi Bowl,
Fugazi
I
Bowl.
believe.
Okay.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually working on bringing back Brooklyn versus Staten
Whoa,
Island.
that's a big statement.
That'd be crazy.
Senior Bowl. I got to coordinate with the coaches from each side and see if we can get this thing rolling.
Real quick. All right, I will gas myself up if you guys just give me 1 minute, but this is incorrect. Tottenville E Hall actually peaked at 2,800 people viewers last year. So if you're telling me New York City is down, and again, that was with 0 promotion. Like I posted, I was streaming the game that Sunday morning. So
it's crazy.
So yeah, no, the New York City is definitely up. Max, listen, you hot in these streets, man. Everybody's trying to get into these games, man.
Nah, man. We just want to shine light on these kids that's kind of overlooked. Give these kids a chance, like Aiden Farley. You know, he's doing his thing right now.
Jared, last words.
Man, crazy first couple of weeks, and hopefully this ages well. I got a feeling it's just gonna get crazier as we go.
Yeah, I mean, if we real quick, I mean, yeah, I mean, once we get into October,
Yeah, then it gets.
I mean, these games really start to heat up for real.
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt, you get some crazy ones, especially the rivalry games. It's gonna be wild. Pumped for it.
Yep. So yeah, man, just real quick, Coach Mac, Franklin report.
Oh my gosh, man. Took a tough loss, man. We lost 46-6 to St. Thomas Aquinas. Very tricky game. They're an amazing school. A school that, private school, much like Cardinal Hayes, but they have the benefit to, house kids, so they get to recruit kids from everywhere and kind of keep them in the town where the school is. But amazing coaches. I'm cool with some of the coaches from the 707 circuit. Definitely an eye-opening game for the program. We're back this Friday against Edison, who's a great school. So we're kind of game planning for that right now.
Let's go Warriors.
Yeah, man.
Hey, when in doubt, double post, man. Just call that double post, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Double post will.
All right, guys. Like I said, this was definitely the best episode of New York Football Talk. Shout out to Jared. Shout out to Coach Mac. We're going to see you guys Friday. And of course, tune in next Monday because I'm sure we're going to have a ton to talk about. Appreciate everyone for watching. See you Friday. And